The most recent conclave began on May 7th, so it's a good time to take a look at the history of papal elections and how the process has significantly changed over the millennia. The process of choosing a pope hasn't always been this solemn or exclusive to the cardinals alone, and the myth of papal primacy tends to obscure the extent to which papal candidates were beholden to secular powers, right up to the 20th century. If you're curious to dig deeper, I highly recommend Behind Locked Doors, a history of the papal elections by Frederick Baumgartner. It's my go-to source on this topic. The Wikipedia page, Papal Selection Before 1059, also gives a solid breakdown of how popes were chosen in the first millennium, when emperors weren't just involved in the election, they often appointed the candidate of their choice. For a taste of how perilous the situation was for popes in this era, check out my video on the Ottonian dynasty of the Holy Roman Empire, or the one on how a standoff with the King of France led to the Avignon Papacy of the 1300s, when both the papacy and the cardinalate were dominated by the French kings for nearly a century. So, how do popes get elected? Today, it's the cardinals who vote for one of their own. But that system only came about in the second millennium. Before that, popes were chosen by local clergy, powerful Roman families, and yes, the emperor, from among any worthy candidate, including deacons, monks, priests, or bishops. In fact, Emperor Constantine set the precedent that the emperor had to confirm the election of a new pope. That changed in 1059, when Pope Nicholas II called a synod and issued the bull In Nomine Domini, which declared the emperor was to be excluded from the process of selecting popes, and that cardinals, specifically the cardinal bishops, alone were eligible both to vote for or become pope. The emperor still got to confirm the choice, at least on paper, but this was a big step toward church independence. Not everyone was thrilled, especially the cardinal priests and deacons, who saw their influence diminished. Baumgartner notes Nicholas's reforms only succeeded in being implemented because the emperor at the time, Henry IV, was still a toddler. If his father had lived, the Holy Roman Emperors might have turned the papacy into a permanent imperial appointment. History hinges on the weirdest twists and turns. Fast forward to 1621, and Pope Gregory XV rolls out Aeterni Patris Filius, introducing secret ballots and the two-thirds majority rule to stop the constant backroom deals and factional infighting. Spoiler alert, it still happens to this day, as traditionalist and reforming wings still jockey for votes. This is why conclaves are held behind locked doors, far away from the watching eyes of the faithful, who might be shocked to see just how politically unholy the selection process really is. Another surprising fact was the right of exclusion, once held by European monarchs. Secular rulers would exercise their rights by instructing the cardinals in their kingdoms who, or who not, to cast their vote for. Though the Church has repeatedly claimed it is above secular power, kings still had veto rights over papal candidates up to the last pope elected under that system, Pius X, in 1903. In 1904, Pius closed this secular loophole with the bull Commissum Nobis, banning secular interference and warning cardinals not to obey foreign instructions on pain of excommunication. And that's how we got the election process the Church uses today. As shown in the recent film Conclave, we can only hope someone like Stanley Tucci's Cardinal Bellini, a man of conscience and reform, will be elected to replace Francis and push through the changes this deeply flawed institution so desperately needs. Now, as of May 8th, a new pope has been elected, and an American who apparently has a reforming mindset, just like Tucci's character. The new pope has chosen the name Leo XIV, partly to honor his predecessor with that name. While Leo XIII did do some good regarding social justice and workers' rights, see my previous video on some of his less enlightened moves. For this observer, I hope it's the reforming aspects the new pope chooses to focus on, not the regressive, traditionalist elements of his namesake predecessor. Thanks for watching. Please check out the other videos on my channel if history is your thing, and see you next time.